Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. If this is your first visit, welcome to the channel. I hope I've got some interesting and useful information for you. Today we're going to be doing a quick video about a couple of modifications I've recently done to my truck. Getting ready for going out on the road full time. I want to be as safe as I can. Serenity, really having the serene thought process and mindset means being safe. So we've been making some modifications to the truck. I'm going to show you those here real quick. Let me get down to the truck here, get it unlocked, and we're going to go into the truck, open the hood, and cover a couple of modifications. First one I'm going to cover is, I'm going to go ahead and cover that's inside the truck here. Let me get up inside, let me switch the camera around, and we will go from there. If I can figure out how to get this camera to go around. Let me pause you and I'll be right back. Okay. Here we are back. Now, the first thing you'll see, I've got a dash full of stuff now. I've got my Furrion camera here for my backup camera, my side cameras, and my hitch camera. That's the Furrion system for the rig. I've got a phone up here. It's an older phone that I've got. That is set up for our camper's Wi-Fi to work with our Leopard 1 control. Primarily here in the cab, this is going to be our tire pressure monitoring system, as we've got the Leopard tire pressure monitoring system in the trailer. And then over here is a dash cam. This is a secondary dash cam. Right up here is my primary dash cam. That's an N2 Pro. This down here is just an off-brand I got from Amazon, and really this is just for the rear camera on it. I've been having a problem backing up with my into the rig to hook up without somebody behind me helping guide me straight back. The Furrion has a camera in the bed, and I've done a video on that before, that I am looking across the bed to where I can tell when my goose box, my hitch on my fifth wheel is the Reese goose box, because I tow on a goose ball versus a fifth wheel hitch. But that camera is pointed directly at the goose ball so that I can tell when the hitch is above it, and to where I can stop and drop straight down on. But I have to make sure that I'm centered, and that's where this camera comes in. This camera has got a high mount camera that I ran. The wires are all up underneath the dashboard here and down and around. But let me take you for a real quick trip outside here and show you what I did up here. I high mounted a camera. You can see it right there below my third brake light in the center, and it kind of looks, it's a little bit sloppy. I've got black RTV kind of gluing it in place because the bracket was not long enough to really hold it strongly in with the brake light. I'm going to get a new brake light, and then I'm going to bolt that bracket to it. But in the meantime, that camera is aimed down toward the bed of the truck, and right here I've got my tonneau cover closed, but with the trailer hitch open, I painted a white line, and let's see if I can do this. I can show you this white line here a little bit probably. So you can see here I've got a white line painted right down my plastic bed cover, my bed liner here, all the way up to my goose ball. And so that is seen in that camera. So if I line this line here up, this white line here up with the white line that I've got on my goose box, it's the center of it, I will be able to back straight into it. There won't be any question as to whether or not I'm lined up straight going in. And then with my side marking camera, I can tell when I get straight onto the hitch, and I will be able to hitch this thing up by myself. If something happens to me and Julie has to drive the truck, she will be able to hitch it up by herself. It's going to be really a no-brainer as far as being able to hook it up right. I just got to looking at it and thinking about it and thinking, how am I going to make this easier? The second modification I've done is under the hood. Obviously, I just opened the hood for us here, and I'm going to climb up on my bumper. You really can't see much of this modification except this little thing right here, this little jewel right here. It's from S&S Diesel Performance. It is a filter for fuel return. It's a fuel return filter. This line here comes from the return from the engine. This one goes to the tank. Now, this all came about because I put in an S&S, what they call a disaster recovery kit, or it's actually a CP4 bypass recovery kit, as it were. This line here, this line here, used to come off the fuel filter here, go straight down to the line that feeds the fuel pump. The fuel would go into that line, through the fuel pump, up into the system, down in, and so forth. When that CP4 fuel pump goes bad, it puts metal up through the metering valve on top of it. That is what the fuel goes through to feed down into the injectors. And it basically puts metal through your entire fuel system. These fuel injection systems, when you start replacing the pump, the lines, the injectors, the rails, everything, dropping your fuel tank, cleaning it, you're talking $6,000 to $10,000, depending on whether you're willing to do the work or whether you're going to have the work done. This new system here is a piece of hose that tees off here. Instead of just dropping straight down at tees, this new piece of hose goes down here. The entire intake has to come off to do it. But you take the fuel metering valve off the top of the CP4 pump, you put a plate down here on there that's at the end of this hose, you put the metering valve back into that. That essentially blocks off the fuel flow from the main factory line going into that metering valve and gives you the fuel through this new hose here. That way your metering valve is getting fresh filtered fuel to it and to the engine. It never will see fuel coming through the CP4 pump again. It's strictly coming from the fuel filter into the metering valve and into the injectors. The injectors are now disconnected entirely from that pump, except for the fact that it goes through that CP4 metering valve, and the injectors are safe. This filter up here is filtering in return, so when the CP4 pump blows up, and it's not if, but when on these 6.7s and anything else that uses a CP4, it goes through this filter before it goes back to the tank. You do not have to drop your tank, drain it, clean it, replace your factory filters or any of that. You simply replace that filter, you pull your intake, put a new CP4 pump on it, you're back in business. So about $2,000 versus $6,000 to $10,000. And for the price of the kit, it was a little expensive if you just look at it on the surface, but it's super cheap insurance. That's it, folks. Those are the mods I've made on my truck here recently, and I appreciate you coming and watching the video. If this has helped you, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, pass this along, share this video with your friends. Anybody that's got a diesel engine with that Bosch CP4 fuel pump, whether it's a Ford 6.7 liter, whether it's anything else using it, that S&S disaster recovery kit, as they call it, is the insurance for that engine and that fuel injection system. Again, please subscribe if you have not. Press the little bell so you get all the modifications. I'm coming up here, by the way, to get in the shade. It's very hot out here today. Sorry about that. And just make sure that you hit all the buttons and do all the things to help us get more views, help YouTube know that we're creating content that people can use and is effective, and it will help us make more content. Thank you and have a great day.